Welcome to this week's Magnetic Leader Workshop. Today, we're talking about overcoming confusion to take consistent action. So, what you can expect from our call today is understanding why you take or don't take action, and then confusion and analysis paralysis and how those fit together, how you can take massive action and what massive action is, and then how to make decisions as a team. So, first off, action is a foundational key to all success. You can have great ideas, you can have incredible vision, but if you aren't able to take action to execute on that, then nothing happens. You don't move forward. And so action is really how you take that idea and make it happen. It's the process of doing something. So, action and inaction both come from how you're feeling about something. So, if you need to have a conversation and you're feeling confident, then usually you'll go have that conversation. Let's say you need to have a difficult conversation with an employee. When you know, I'm skilled at having these conversations, I know how to handle it, then you're more likely to go have the conversation. Or on the flip side, if you're feeling insecure, unsure, uncertain, then you're going to try to avoid having that conversation. You're going to have inaction. Or let's say you need to make a decision about something. You will find everything to not make that decision if you're not feeling confident. And let's say you need to ask for something that your team needs. You need to advocate for your team, and you don't know how to do that, you don't feel confident with that, then a lot of times you're going to avoid doing that, which is that inaction part. This is, if you haven't seen my other videos, this is a coaching model. I teach leaders to be able to coach themselves, and I teach a process inside of the magnetic leadership system. And it's so when people want to come be coached by me, and then throughout the rest of the week, they still want to use the same tools, I teach them how to do this. And so this is a model, and I talk about how you have facts, you have things that are happening or just facts in the world, and then you have thoughts about that, and that's how we can all experience something completely different. And then whatever we're thinking about that determines how we feel about it, and then how we feel about it is what's driving that action, things we do or don't do, and based on the action that determines what results that we're going to get. So you cannot make progress without making the decisions. Usually people don't take action because they don't want to make that decision. And so the first part of taking action is just deciding, here's what I'm going to do, here's what I want to do, make a decision and commit to that. So why don't people do that? Why don't people make a decision? Usually, a lot of it is analysis paralysis, the inability to make a decision due to overthinking a problem. If you have ever had a decision that you need to make at work and you continue to get more and more data, you say, I can't make a decision because I don't have enough data. Or you can continue to look at, what are the upsides? What's the downsides? And then continue to do that over and over, but not make a decision, a lot of times that's analysis paralysis. So making a decision is just the action or process of deciding something, a conclusion or resolution, or resolving a question. So this process is all happening from beliefs we have about making the decision or not making the decision. And they can be rational or irrational. If you've ever worried about something and thought about it for days, weeks, years, and then you make the decision in an instant. And really like, oh my goodness, I don't know why I worried about that for so long. It's because we have all these thoughts and stories about it. And then once we make the decision and move forward, even if that decision is, I'm not going to do this, that is still better than having all of that indecision. So why make a decision? It saves time. Like I talked about, if you've spent so much time in indecision and worry and ruminating over that, once you make the decision, it saves so much time because it frees up mental energy to think about something else. It increases action. When you make a decision, then you can go act on it. You can go execute on it. And it increases growth. So the more action you're taking, the more you can learn, the more that you can move forward. And no matter what, even if you make a decision and you take action and it doesn't work out, you still have more information than you did when you weren't taking any action at all. So these are some of the coaching questions that I ask clients, and I'm sharing them with you so that you can use these when you're making a decision yourself. But consider all the options. What self-inflicted limitations do I believe are facts? A lot of times when we have this story, we think that we can't move forward, we can't make a decision because of something. Just question that. Is those facts? Is it stories? Is it beliefs that you have? And how do you separate those to make the decision? What if both options turn out amazing? Both of them are successful. Which one would you do? Because a lot of times we're imagining all of the bad things that can happen if we make each decision, or we're looking at one that we want to make, but we play out something pretty negative in our head, vice versa for the other one. And so if they both turn out amazing, which one would you choose? And I just asked somebody this for a decision they have about a job offer coming up, an opportunity. And I asked them, if both of those turned out amazing, which one would you choose? And so they ended up deciding they're going to try for another job. A third one, failure is no big deal. A lot of times we avoid doing something because we are scared of failing. But if you look at failure as just learning, as just something that happens when you are learning something new, 100% you are going to fail, you're going to make mistakes, and either way, you're going to learn from them or they're going to be successful. So people that have a lot of success have just had lots of failures over and over again to get to that point. So when you reframe your mindset around failure, it can help you take more action. And then imagine saying yes to both. If sometimes we put these limitations on ourselves that it's either or, but what if you did a little of both? What would that look like? And then what would 10 years from now tell you to do? So what would your future self? So if you ask yourself 10 years from now, you just say, okay, 10 years from now, I've already had all this success. I've already done this. It's all worked out. What would I tell myself to do right now? And that can seem like a funny question, but it's amazing what you'll come up with when you allow yourself to ask yourself that. And then worst case, best case. If you play out, you make this decision, what's the worst case that can happen and what's the best case? And play that worst case out as far as you can, because a lot of times the likelihood of that worst case is probably pretty low or not. But what if that worst case happened? What would you do? And that lessens the fear of making a decision. And then notice that for failure, that you failed, you had a fail, you did something that did not get the result that you wanted, it does not mean that you are a failure. And that's a big difference. So massive action is making a decision, making that decision. And let's say you set a big goal and you want to do something, start a business, you want to start a new project with your team, and you don't know how you're going to accomplish it. With my team, I would say, here's where we want to be in 3 years, here's where we want to be in 1 year. And even the 1 year, we didn't have clear knowing what the future was going to hold, how we were going to get there, or the 3 year. I didn't know how we were going to get there, but I knew with my team, with the processes I had that I implemented, I knew that we could get to that 3 year. But from right now to that 3 year, it was going to take a lot of failure. And so I talk about taking massive action. It's making a decision, committing to that, saying, we are going to do this, taking action. And that can be you, that can be somebody on your team. And then knowing that no matter what action you take, there is going to be failure. There are going to be things that aren't going to work like you thought they are. And that's okay. For yourself and for your team, knowing that they can go take action, there can be fail, there can be things that don't work out, and you are still going to support them. You're going to support yourself for that failure. Like just expect it. And after that failure, you're going to evaluate that. You're going to look at the failure. You're going to look at what worked, what didn't work. You're going to learn from that. You're going to make a new decision and you're going to do that. But when you add that, once you make a decision, you commit, you take action, you will have failure. It lessens that fear of it. And an exercise that I've done, that I've had clients done, is 100 fails. So doing things, and if you fail, then you celebrate that because it means you moved forward. It means that you've learned more. And so then when things are successful, you're like, that was great, but I'm really trying to get all these fails. And so darn it, I didn't get a fail. What else can I go try? What else can I go do? And when you're signing up for failure, when you're signing up to take action, you're going to feel lots of feelings. It's going to bring up lots of feelings. And instead of trying to avoid feeling those feelings, having processes, and these are things I teach in Magnetic Leadership System and to my individual clients, but being able to just feel those feelings that come up instead of finding ways to escape them. And when I talk about escaping feelings, that is all the overs. Over drinking, overeating, overworking. We celebrate working, but a lot of times our busyness or working a lot is just to escape feelings or other areas of our lives, things we don't want to feel. So there's a lot of good things, but when you add it over, when you add the word over, when you're doing it to escape feeling something else, that's when you want to learn processes to just feel that. And this, not something I've learned before, but it's been incredible to be able to just feel instead of trying to escape it. So, one feeling, discouraged. This isn't working. Like that can make you feel discouraged. Disappointed, that didn't work. Like, okay, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed that didn't work out. What do I want to go do next? Uncomfortable. This is new. When you're doing new things, 100%, you're going to feel uncomfortable, and that's okay. Shame, like I talked about before, if you're thinking, I am a failure, that's where that shame is going to come up in. Instead, curiosity, that failed. What can I learn? And that uncomfortableness, this is something a lot of the people in my group program thought was funny. But that uncomfortable feeling that this is new, I call it the barf factor. So if you are going after something and you feel sick to your stomach, you're so nervous that you're sick to your stomach or excited, that barf factor, then you're probably doing it right. You're doing new things. And so having your own back. A lot of times we don't actually fear failure. We fear what we think other people will think about us, or we will fear how we're going to treat ourselves. Beating yourself up for a fail instead of saying, I'm going to have my own back. So no matter what happens, when I take action, I did the best I could with the information that I have. And no matter what, I'm going to learn from it and I'm going to have my own back. Not beating yourself up. Like the negative self-talk in your head, talking to yourself as you would a friend, as you would a child, being kind to yourself. And then I will have my own back no matter what. Same thing. So a process that I used for decision making with my team, I'm going to share a link to the worksheet of that, but this is something I did with my team every week. We spent 30 minutes a week as a team solving issues, discussing them, identifying them, discussing them, and solving them. And solving them meant a decision was made or we discussed it and we're done. But the end of this was always solving, always making a decision, always moving forward. And I did this with my team, but then also the leadership team that I was on. We did this every week and we spent an hour. And what that meant was we were constantly moving forward. So I'm going to share this worksheet, but it's a great process that you can walk through to solve issues as a team for you to encourage yourself to make decisions to move forward as a team. And for yourself. But next week, we're going to be talking about strategies for difficult conversations. So, if you struggle with having some of those conversations, you avoid them, I'm going to give you strategies that will help you help reduce all those feelings you have about having those conversations. And just a reminder, if you want help with this, if these are topics that you want to continue to grow as a leader, I help leaders through individual coaching sessions and then also through the Magnetic Leadership System. And I just finished up a group and I will be starting a new group at the end of October. So if you want to be involved in that, send me a message. And as always, you can learn more at aliciabenson.com. And the reason that I do all of this is because I believe everyone deserves to work for a great leader, and every leader deserves the training and coaching to be great. So thank you for joining me today, and message me, let me know what you thought, and have a great day.